some people are still getting used to the weird transition for sure. I don't. I like the sun for sure, but I don't appreciate the transition, um, especially with two kids who wake up now later, um, and it's already hard to get them up. So, hope everyone's doing well. Spring break's around the corner. I'm hoping you all are breathing easily or somewhat, um, knowing that. And um, today or this week should be pretty chill. A lot of small lecture on this week's reading. Then we're going to have some time to work on our debates. For those who've already gone, you just get to hang out and do what you want to do, I guess. And then we'll just wrap up after that. So today is pretty much a little lecture and prep debate. How does that sound for folks? Cool. Um, but before we do all that, I need to make someone a co-host. Where are you, Olivia?
I'm here. Good morning. Good morning to everyone. While we wait to be co-host, I just want to show everyone. Look at. I understand the mini brands hype now. Here's my mini taco seasoning, and I think it's great. That's all. I just want to share that with you all.
We,
Also, while we wait, if you could drop your wellness rating in the chat, please. 1 to 10. Y'all know the drill. Wait. Oh, chat. Thank you. Thank you, Riza. Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate. Oh, a 9. Period. That is the highest we've seen this semester. Go off, Haley. Love
wow.
that for you.
Is
Oh my
it
god, y'all are doing better. I mean, it's okay if you're not. That's totally valid. I understand. It's really rough right now. Oh, so look at my mini red pepper. It's so cute. I think it's neat. That's all.
get those?
They're in these like balls. Like you can get them from like any store, I guess. And you open them like an orange. You open them like an orange. They're so fun. You don't know what you're gonna get.
So they're like toys for.
Yeah, they're like collectible and like okay, honestly, I didn't really I was like I would make fun of people who would open them. Oh, period. Your bandana. Okay, word. Um I would make fun of people who were getting them, but then I opened my first ball and I was like, oh, okay, I see why we do this now. I see why we do this. And then you collect them because there's like common ones and there's more rare ones. And now I really want to keep buying them because they have a glow in the dark almond milk and I really want it.
Do you
So,
use these or no?
huh?
You don't use them then.
No, you don't. And this is what I do with the money for being here. Thank you. Make a TikTok. Haley, no, you should teach me. Teach me to make TikToks. Not to put you on the spot, Haley, but Haley's really good at making TikToks. Just felt like I should share that. Okay. Thank you for sharing your wellness ratings. I am very appreciative of you all. Um, Eugene, if you could stop share, please.
Yes, that's
We're gonna get into the cultural energizer. Let me just so what's it called? Let me just okay. Cool. Present.
wow.
Ooh, okay. Anyways, so today we're gonna do some deep breathing. Um, y'all breathe? I don't because I just forget, and I feel like a lot of us forget to breathe a lot of the times. Oh, because I don't know. Actually, I do know why. It's just really rough in these parts, and I think taking a moment to breathe is not just good for like your mind and like for pausing for a minute, but also just because I don't know if y'all been getting like back problems, shoulder problems, the neck problems since we've been online. Really, like I had them before we were online, but like they're bad now, just because I'm always so tense and over the computer. So yeah, and also deep breathing is like a step towards meditation and mindfulness, and I think that is really great. Oh my god, Matthew, you should get that checked out. But okay, moving on. If you could drop in the chat, when was the last time you took a deep breath, like a full breath, like you felt your spine, not your spine, your rib cage open, and it like it came in exactly. Nee. Don't remember. Not in the last few weeks, y'all. Never. Okay, period, Haley. Thank you. I'm proud. I mean, I would hope that people are breathing every day, but still. Okay, well, from what I'm hearing, okay, period, Juliana. Um, there is a lot of people who are not breathing, who are not breathing, who have never breathed, English. Um, but that's okay. That's why we're here. That's why we're going to do this activity together. So I'm going to share a few breathing techniques with everyone. And then afterwards, we can all decide as a class which one we want to try together. Yeah. Okay. So the first breathing technique I'm going to share, oh my God, Lord, I said that. You get it. Is, oh my God. Anyways, here's how we start. Okay, ignore my flow. It is 9 a.m. Anyways, so for folks who are laying in bed, that's fine. I'm not gonna call you out for that. It is 9 a.m. But just straighten your spine as much as possible. If you're sitting up, try to sit as straight as possible. You know what? Before we start, let's stretch. Let's just take a moment to just stretch, because apparently some people's spines sound like firecrackers. That concerns me. Yeah, good. And like it says, closing your eyes is optional, and it can help, but it's up to you. Yeah, let's get into it. So the first technique I'm gonna go over is called 7-Eleven. Hella easy to remember, because 7-Eleven. We're just gonna you inhale for 7 seconds, and then exhale for 11 seconds. And you just keep repeating this and repeating this um, as much as you want. This isn't my favorite because I'm the kind of person that I like to hold a breath in. And also keep in mind, when we do these breathing techniques, you should feel the air expand into your stomach first, and then up here. So if you're breathing with your shoulders, no, don't do that. You want to take the breath deep in. And let's try it. Let's try it, everyone. So I'll count us in. Ready? So it's going to be inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I don't know if y'all broke with me, but that's okay. We can decide if we want to try this one later. The next breathing technique. Now, this is my favorite one. I like this one because it has funky numbers and that makes me happy. So this is called 4-7-8, and this is like really good to help you fall asleep. A lot of my friends use this technique to fall asleep because the funky numbers make it easy to just fall asleep because they're weird. So you would inhale for 4 seconds, hold your breath for 7, and exhale for 8. And for folks who would like to try this with me, let's try it. Okay? Ready? Is everyone ready? Actually, I'm gonna just stare at you, Catherine, and Maya. You give me the thumbs. Are y'all ready? You two ready? Cool. Okay. So we're gonna inhale, 2, 3, 4. hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Was that, did people get that? Did we just get some reactions? Yes, no? Vibe check? Yeah? Okay. And I think our last breathing technique is called roll breathing, and something that I learned this in physical therapy, but how I mentioned earlier, your breath should be starting in your stomach, and you should feel your diaphragm expand, and it should roll all the way up into your chest and then your shoulders finally. So you should feel your lungs fully expand if you're doing the breathing correctly. So for roll breathing, you would place your left hand on your stomach and your right hand on your chest, and then inhale into your lower lungs, and then all the way up into your upper lungs, and then exhale. And so like you should feel like a rolling motion when you're breathing, like some waves, because we all have many oceans in us, I guess. But yeah, let's just try this. If you want to try it, I mean, I don't want to make you listen to my breathing, but that's what we're going to do today. So yeah, period. So can I get in the chat, folks, what's it called? Which one do you want to try? That we'll do for like 2 minutes. Does anyone have a preference? 478. 478. Okay. 478. Y'all got some flavor. Appreciate it. Not that if you wanted to do a different breathing technique, you don't have flavor. Totally have flavor. Just preference. But let me just, oh my God. Nope. Go back. Okay. So everyone remember 478. If you want to just close your eyes, I will count you in. And let's do this maybe 4, 5 times. Okay? Everyone ready? Yes, we're ready. We're ready. Okay. So inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Last time. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. How are folks feeling after breathing? Brand new. What's it called? Oh, sorry, there's another one, but we're not gonna do that. Just so you know. But like for folks who are sitting up, morning breathing is just you would breathe in and sit up and then breathe out and let your spine curve. I don't know. I like it for the stretch, to be honest, or if you're gonna do like an exercise, it's good for grounding. But we won't do this one. It's good for waking up also. But yeah. Thank you all for breathing with me. Did what's it called? How are folks feeling? Did that help? Not help? Did you breathe for the first time? From some of you have never breathed before. That's a little concerning, but I'm glad that maybe you breathed today. That being said, hang in there, folks. We got 1 week till break, you know. Um, if y'all need anything, of course, message me, and I will do my best to respond. Although, to be honest, I may lag because I am a student too, like y'all, and I am working too, like y'all, and I'm in orgs too, like y'all. So, it's a little rough time for us all. But please, please, please be gentle with yourselves. Take care of yourselves. Take breaks. Maybe between assignments. Do 3 of the 4 7/8s. And yeah, appreciate you all. Love you all. I'm grateful for you all.
Thank you, Olivia. Appreciate you facilitating that. As we try to finish off the semester, some of y'all are going through midterms, a lot of anxiety. I think these are the times where we take a breath and just remember to take care of ourselves. And ironic thing was I was playing I Can't Breathe from her earlier. And if you didn't know, she won the best song in the Grammys. So a local artist, Panay and Black, from Vallejo, I believe. I think it's Vallejo. Um, so that's like something to recognize. And it was obviously around issues of police brutality and uh, racial discrimination. So something very powerful and won a Grammy for it. So, kind of amazing. Um, what else? Yeah. Are most of the students here like just waking up right before class? No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't recommend that because then your mind is still not like present, I guess you could say, or moving. So if you can wake up a little earlier to kind of get your mind through things rather than trying to catch up through class, which is hard. Just a suggestion. Does anyone use a standing desk here? Nobody. I used to just sit into my bed and do class, but that's not helpful either. I'm assuming some of y'all without your videos on might fall asleep doing that. No, but I stand at my desk. Oh, you stand at your desk. So that's another way to just like, I know your backs are deteriorating at this moment because of all the sitting, but if you can, um, I pretty much made a standing desk with a laundry basket and a diaper box. So you don't need to buy a $300 desk. So just little tips here and there to, I don't know, save your back, save your mental health and your physical health in that way. So what are we doing today? We're going to talk about this week's readings. It's on Asian American women and political power, and you read an article on Patsy Mink, and she is known for Title IX. She is also a representative from Hawaii, and she fights for sex-based discrimination, um, not just for Asian Americans, but for all of Americans, I guess. And she tries to challenge gender norms for sure. Um, and within the space of, I guess you could say, all boys club in Congress. So trying to navigate that through, and then all the stereotypes of being an Asian American woman in that space, where those stereotypes of being servile, submissive, and docile are off persistent in this society for sure. And in this week, we kind of learned about how she kind of navigated and challenged those norms. Um, so I have a video. It's a short one, just to kind of give us a little bio about her. Um, Here you go.
What you endure is who you are. And if you just accept and do nothing, then life goes on. But if you see it as a way for change, life doesn't have to be this unfair. It can be better. Maybe not for me, I can't change the past, but I can certainly help somebody else in the future so they don't have to go through what I did.
Patsy Mink grew up among the cane fields of Maui and made her mark on Capitol Hill as the nation's first woman of color in Congress.
Women's rights are about fundamental justice.
She was one of a kind. I'd never interacted with an Asian woman who was in the power circles, who was creating public policy and moving the women's agenda.
She had no patience for injustice, and she had no patience for intolerance.
Our whole government operates under the notion of secrecy, of not informing the people, of not honestly dealing with the issues.
She ran for President of the United States and wrote laws that overturned decades of discrimination against women in higher education and sports.
You must have, in any movement, people who are insistent and demanding. Somebody has to be your conscience to make you ashamed of yourself.
I've run many, many times, and I've lost many times, but I've never given up. A feeling that I, as an individual, and you, as an individual, can make the difference.
So Patsy for sure was a pioneer. Um, she was the first person of color representative, and to understand historically our government, our Senate, our House of Representatives didn't necessarily like accept women, especially women of color, in these spaces. And for her, as an Asian American woman, representing folks in Hawaii and Asian Americans in general, I think was key in terms of, uh, I guess, opening people's minds and seeing something different rather than this old boys club, old white boys club, um, which is still persistent today. And because of her fight, her struggle against sex-based or yeah, gender-based discrimination in the educational system and the sports, we should recognize the doors that she opened and then those who followed for sure in terms of representation in our US government. But today I'm just going to focus on a different little, or on the article on militarization. So she for sure was not necessarily just fighting for women's issues, but also fighting for how women or Asian American women uh, and militarization have played out historically in the U.S. And she's a staunch anti-militarist, um, And because of her Japanese American background, living in Hawaii, um, going through World War II, and with all of that background behind her, um, that's what's basically shaping um, her politics. And in this article, we kind of understand the challenges for sure, the reality of trying to work within the old boys US government culture, and war in itself, which we've learned in the last few weeks, obviously have very long-term detrimental impacts amongst women because of what war does in various countries: prostitution, sex trafficking, um, rape, these incidences that occur as a result of war. And oftentimes our government sometimes dismisses some of these crimes. And I think for her, at least, she fought for and critiqued this idea of U.S. empire and the spread of war throughout the Pacific. Um, she would represent um, herself in Congress, but also limited within the condition of this old boys club. And oftentimes she would have to reframe things um, in the same language that folks use in the US government to push particular policies, which oftentimes kind of compromised her gendered kind of analysis in some of this. And this article kind of highlights some of those navigations and challenges as a result. And looking at the sovereignty movement in Hawaii, it kind of highlighted that contradiction for sure, where she was navigating through an all boys club versus a sovereign movement, which was decolonizing, which was also a feminist indigenous movement. How did she kind of like, um, not necessarily compromise her values and principles, but try to find ways to bridge that? Um, and a little background about herself. Her activism, I guess, started in Alaska, fighting for um, or fighting against, I guess you could say, nuclear testing there. And with that experience, she was able to apply it to her um, uh, the militarization under the Cold War in the Pacific, and which pretty much played uh, I don't know, which pretty much most of, why can't I talk right now? The Pacific Islands served as bases for training and deployment, rest and recreation, um, testing for conventional and biological and nuclear weaponry. So she knew that the negative impacts war and military would have on these Pacific Islands. And oftentimes our government perceived these far-flung areas, these remote countries, because they were non-white, they were not considered as human, which then justified the destruction of their indigenous land. And they were basically expendable collateral damage as a result of that. So they became training sites. So imagine shooting up the beautiful lands of Hawaii in the name of training for these US soldiers. So, how does that then change the ecosystems there? How does it change the culture and lifestyle? How do people feel in terms of their stability or anxiety as a result of all this militarization around them? So, these are the things that Representative Patsy Mick was fighting for. So as we see, Hawaii is a very important location, especially if we look at this idea of the Cold War. It's basically a stepping stone towards Asia. Um, Other countries like Guam, the Philippines, Japan are lily pads or stepping blocks into the biggest threat that US has, which is China. Um, so if they were able to take hold of some of these islands, they then have a way to kind of like protect American democracy um, in those regions. And yeah, in this article, um, like what I said earlier before, Patsy Patsy Mink basically had to negotiate certain things in her position, and oftentimes it was at the cost of this idea of a gender neutral humanism, and in contestation with this indigenous feminist movement, where they're fighting for their sovereignty. Hawaii and other Pacific islands obviously don't want the US there. They feel like as a result of militarization, is impacting their economy, their social way of life, and physically their ecosystems there. So obviously, there's a movement for their own sovereignty, where Patsy Mintz, although recognizes this unity against militarization, um, falls short in terms of um, it still falls within this reform uh, governmental process of these are states, these are territories of the United States. So that's where she stood, for good and for bad, I guess. I see a few. I think I've been talking for a second, but oh, it's Olivia. Did you have anything to say, Olivia?
Oh, I was just commenting on specifically when it comes to Hawaii and a lot of the islands in Oceania and um, like the Pacific. The U.S. Has played a really large role in colonizing these islands, um, more than we are aware of a lot of times, and the indigenous people of these islands, they did not give consent to first militarization, annexation, and like all of these the presence of America, like that was forced upon them. So like keep that in mind as we go through this. Like when we talk about indigenous movements and indigenous feminist movements, we're talking about movements that support the native people of the land that have been historically oppressed, have had their language taken away from them, their land taken away from them for private use or for public use for Americans, for whether that was to profit off the land for plantations, sugar plantations, or whether it was for military use and like the desecration of sacred land. And it's still happening today. And for many of these Pacific islands, like American Samoa, um, it is technically it's been a part of America for 120 years, but the citizens of American Samoa are not considered citizens of America. They can't vote for president. They can't vote for officials that will have a say in our government, and they're considered U.S. nationals, so they don't have any of the benefits of being citizens. Um, so keep that in mind. Citizenship plays a really large role in this, and colonialism plays a really large role in all of this. That's all.
Thank you, Olivia. So I think the last few weeks we've been talking about colonization, U.S. empire, and war. And Olivia brings up a good point of like, did these countries or peoples concede? And obviously, they didn't. There's still resistance movements fighting against Americans' presence through military, um, through as territories of the United States. It's just amazing to see that in this current day that we still own countries or peoples and they still have no representation in our own government. So this is the limitations that struggle still fighting for today. And with Patsy Mink, she for sure was pivotal in trying to build coalitions amongst various groups to fight against militarization in general, but specifically in the Pacific. And trying to bridge these differences was not an easy thing. If you imagine how much money goes into war in our country, if you imagine how many troops go out throughout the world, we are pretty much invested in war. And to kind of change that direction or step back from that type of policy, she for sure had a lot of resistance. And I think um, kudos to her, kudos, much props to her for sure representing Asian Americans in that fight and to standing toe to toe with some of these politicians. And again, she was working within the system, within our government, and oftentimes folks on the ground, indigenous folks fighting for their own sovereignty, didn't necessarily agree maybe with her policy or her approaches in addressing militarization, where she might have like included them and fought for the removal of militarization, but she didn't necessarily step to understand or be a champion for the sovereignty of these people. So that's the living contradiction she had to kind of go through. Just to give you context to that. But question.
Also,
Go.
sorry, wait, also, yeah, for the epistemology, because I'm like looking at this slide and I realize like a lot of us probably don't know what epistemology is, because honestly, I didn't know what epistemology was until I got into like my deeper ethnic studies classes. But that just refers to like how I said in the chat, how we know what we know. And when we talk about indigenous epistemology as like alternative epistemology, we're just talking about like, it's not alternative because epistemology is true and subjective to the people. So like indigenous epistemology refers to the knowledge of indigenous peoples as valid. I don't know. This is a very broad concept, I realize, in this one slide. But yeah, we're just taught. Yeah. You know what? If you have questions about epistemology, hit me up. I'm writing a paper on for class.
But I think the angle you took in terms of how do you know what you know is important. And obviously, life didn't exist when Western culture, Western empires defined these particular areas in the world. They had traditions, languages, histories, cultures, some type of government, society. So that existed and still exists today in many different ways. But Western influence is kind of either try to erase it or kind of manipulate it. So epistemology is like what you said. How do we know what we know? Cool. Thank you, Olivia, for your wonderful insight. It is, what time is it? 10:45? Oh no, 10:15. 10:45 is the end of the class. This is my quick lecture on this week's readings. We also have folks doing their video presentations, and you could get more insight into the readings from their angle, from their presentation. So please look. Wait, I need to upload that video for sure. And then this Thursday, we'll be doing the debate. So I kind of want to give folks time to work on that. How's that sound for folks?
I'm making the breakout rooms right now, just so you know, if you want to stall for a second.
Thank you. So I started off Patsy Mintz's story as this in the framing of what Asian American women are often stereotyped as docile, submissive, even in the society and sometimes in certain families. And I think she had to overcome expectations of her family, overcome expectations of the society. And we see she was able to overcome and achieve um, Title IX, uh, defunding of military in various regions of this country, and um, her long legacy of that still impacts politics today. So, unfortunately, administrations have kind of wanted to rewind and take away some of these wonderful policies, but that's another conversation. Um, Questions, or how did folks like the readings this week? No comments? Any comments about the readings? Was this helpful for framing for those who are debating on Thursday?
I think so. Olivia told us a little about it, a little about it before, but
Mhm.
I mean, it helps just having a little bit more information.
Mhm. So I know the debate itself is broader than just Patsy Minsk, or Mink, and hopefully it kind of gives you ideas, jogs some questions that could help you kind of frame your debate. So,
I can open them if you want me to now.
ooh, for the next, what is that, 20 minutes or so? We got team one and team two, or A or B or whatever. They'll be trying to tackle this question of, is sexism in the Asian American community rooted in Asia or Asian tradition or Asian American tradition? So, how do we understand sexism as a result of our experiences back home in the homeland or here in the United States? And these two teams will kind of like, you'll have to understand both sides of the story, I guess you could say. So I'll give you time to kind of flush this out if you haven't prepped already. For the other teams, obviously you can get more time to prep for week 9 and week 10. For last week, what can you do? um, if you need to work on other things in this class, you can. So cool. You could send them off, and then that's it. Then we'll bring you back later and close off.
What time are we gonna bring them back for the teaching video?
The teaching video?
Hmm?
What teaching video?
I thought we had to watch a teaching presentation.
Oh, we're not gonna watch it.
Oh, okay. For sure.
I think I'll just let everyone watch it on their own. I need to get the link and upload it though. Yeah, I wanted to give time in class for the
You're
debate.
still recording, by the way.
So, hello, hello. Okay, are we all? There's a handful still not here. I don't want to begin without them. Okay, 23. Welcome back. Sounds like I confused people but hopefully I'll clarify it right now. So, moving forward, so people's understanding. So on Tuesdays we'll have our our lecture day and then prep for the debate on Thursday for the next couple of weeks. So, I think the first part of the class will be either the folks who are presenting their um, the presentation on their week's readings. If they did a video, I'm just gonna post it onto iLearn, so you just watch it there. And I want to maximize the time in this class so people are able to work on their debates. So that was my reasoning. I'm not sure if I was clear about that, but hopefully that is helpful for folks. Yeah, and then I know for those who will be those groups that already gone, this is basically your time to work on other things in the class or other things in school. So I'm going to have a lot of these prep workshop meetings going forward in the semester. How's that sound for folks? Good. Since we have a lot of different group projects in this class, I want to give you as much time in the class as I can without compromising some of the lecture to work on some of this stuff. So, so for the video presentation, folks, if you go onto your module 8 and there's the video presentation, I uploaded the link. So all you have to do is click the link, watch your wonderful peers discuss the readings of this week. And then below that is the peer review. So you're gonna say, oh, I love their presentation on Patsy and Mink. I thought they did this well and this well. And that's pretty much it. So they get some feedback, hopefully constructive feedback from you all. So, and then again, the debate reflection is also there for all this week. So is that clear or clearer? I think I scared one of the groups today. What else is there? I think that's it for today. In terms of readings, this is the readings for this week. If you haven't scheduled office hours, please do that as soon as possible. I think after the spring break, it's going to get kind of hectic for folks because you're going to be doing whatever you got to do for your classes to finish up the semester. So be very sensitive to myself and Olivia's schedule in that. When it gets towards like the last couple weeks, it's going to be very, very hard for both of us. And for you too. I don't think you want to do an office hour in the middle of the week before finals. So just to give you room for some sanity. And then I think that's all I got for this week. So the debaters will be going up on Thursday. Same format. We'll do the flip. We're going to break you up into groups to kind of decide what you're going to talk about in terms of the position that you just learned that you found out. And then we'll go through the debate. And then if there's time at the end, more time for the other teams to work on their debate. So cool. Yeah. Questions? Announcements? Is there anything going on that I should or we should know? Olivia?
Like always, there are events going on through Aspire and First Year Experience. Someone's asking in the chat though, when are the reading notes number 2 due?
Oops. Is that for next week? Can you keep track? Is the due date not on there? Oh. It's due on week 9. and the date is 4/4. What is that? I'm assuming that's the Tuesday. And then
For Aspire, I know it's 45, so if folks need a dip, you can, but I'll just give you a few events if you want to go. Tomorrow for Aspire, there's the Asian American Queer Mixer hosted by Aspire, which should be great. Really love Aspire. Aspire is also holding a student success group called Aspiring Women, and that's going to start on March 30th. They also have community circles. I know I'm not personally in Aspire, but I love Aspire. My heart is with Aspire always. I was an Aspire student, and maybe I'll be an Aspire peer mentor. We don't know, but yeah, if you would like people to study with, their community circles are open from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Thursday. So like you can just hop in on the link, and then you can hop in on their link and study with people, which is great because we're in midterms. I know we have one more week. Also, First Year Experience this Thursday is hosting a Among Us game night. If folks just want to chill out, get your activism points out of the way, and play Among Us with folks, you can do that. Other announcements, if anyone else has them, but I always send out emails with lists with events going on around campus, whether it's Aspire, First Year Experience, or other organizations. And if anyone has any questions, just let me know.
Thank you, Olivia. So enjoy your day today. Looks sunny, I guess, but a little cold. And I'll see everyone on Thursday. Thank you.